Hey y'all, it's going to be a walk around of my new to me 2005 SV1000S. Picked it up a few months ago with the hope of it being a track bike, but also not having to drive that big blue monster around all the time. Weighs a little bit less, a little bit more fun. Picked it up with just under 17,000 miles. It's about 18,700 miles now. When I picked it up, I knew it had to do some maintenance, but turned out to be a bit more than that. So I'm going to walk through, just go through what all we did to it. Starting from the front, it had some handlebar risers on it. As you can see, it's where they were drilled in to the top of the triple here. Converted it back to these stock handlebars. Looked into clip-ons, but for the cost, just decided to go back to the stock bars. Found to have a small fork seal leak, so both forks have been rebuilt. Should have gone with some heavier weight oil, but no more oil leak. Rebled the brakes with some 5.1 brake fluid. Put the steel brake lines on to hopefully address a stiff lever. As it turned out, it was the front calipers just needed rebuilding. All in all, when I took out the brake pistons, some of the brake fluid had just turned jello. It's a 13-year-old bike. I was trying to avoid it, but it was about time for it to be done. So brake calipers rebuilt on new steel lines, and then with new brake fluid. Getting the forks rebuilt. Trying to think what else we did in the front. I think that's it after the conversion. Has the K&N filter, just clean, put it back. When I picked it up, it was slightly past due for valves, so redid the valves. 7 of the 8 of them needed replacing, but all in all, a very, very easy bike to work on. It wasn't as much of a headache as I thought it would. Did an oil change, do the Motul, the green, that bright green synthetic oil there. That seems to run pretty good. It's a little hard to see, but there's the reserve. I like to run engine ice in the bikes. How much of a difference it really makes, I'm not sure, but for when I go to the track, it's already ready to go. So threw some engine ice in there. Already had the Yoshimura pipes on there, which this is the first twin bike I've had, but I just love the way this thing sounds when you fire it up. Very beefy. Probably the biggest headache was over here. I had to do the clutch push rod seal and the countershaft sprocket seal. Did that one twice. The first time I installed it incorrectly. I had been chasing a stupid oil leak on this thing for so long. As it turned out, it was just mechanics error. So I replaced the countershaft sprocket seal, still leaking oil. Did the clutch push rod seal, was still leaking. Thought the only other thing it could be was the gasket around the magneto cover here. Pulled it off, and about 3 of the broken magnets came off with it. So that was the single most expensive repair I had to do, was the whole new magneto, which was about $300. We put it on with a new gasket, still leaking oil. As it turns out, if I had just read the manual I bought the first time, I installed the first countershaft sprocket steel a little too deep, pulled it off, put on a new one, and the bike's been running great ever since. So past 3 months, I barely put 1,000 miles on it, but now riding it a whole lot more, and bike's running strong, it's running good. Pretty excited about it. Also, at some point I did put a new front and rear sprockets with a new chain on there. Again, after 13 years and X amount of miles, it was just something that needed to be redone. So all in all, turned out to be a bit more of a initial project than I thought. Been a good learning experience. Hadn't rebuilt forks or not rebuilt, but done a valve job on a bike before. So it's a good learning experience, and good to have a bike that's running strong, and to know everything's running good because you worked on it. And if it's not working, then you probably messed it up. But fire this thing up real quick. bike. Been real happy with it. Loving this this L twin life, this big twin motorcycle sound, power. It's been a good time. So hopefully we'll actually have it out on the track here fairly soon. And there it is.